everyone, this is Anna from Koala Soap. Today I'm going to be making a confetti soap, and I'm actually going to be mixing two pinks. This first one is pink watermelon, and the next one is poppin' pink, which is really, it's a neon, so it's really dark. So I'm going to try and like level it out a little bit between these two, because I'm going to do the confetti in Shea Butter Melt and Pour with the white part also in Shea Butter Melt and Pour. And what happens is if it's pastel, sometimes it kind of gets drowned out a little bit, sometimes not. I'm going to be using, this is Violet Petal, yes, Violet Petal from StarDust Micas, and I'm going to be using Cucumber Melon as our scent today. So what I've done is I've taken 5 ounces of Melt and Pour Shea Butter, and I'm going to go ahead and melt it down in the microwave, and then we'll add our colorants, and then we'll pour. This will be for our confetti that we're going to put into our salad shooter, or you can scrape it with a vegetable peeler. Okay, so we have our soaps melted down. 157, and this says 172. Not a problem. We're going to go ahead and start our mica, and then when we pour that in, that's going to cool it down even more. So we'll pour in our alcohol. The reason we put the mica in the alcohol is it helps disperse it. If you don't, what will happen if I were to put the mica straight into the soap, sometimes you get like little speckle marks on the bottom there. And so it looks like it just, I don't know, like someone sprinkled mica in there. Okay, so there's our purple. Always try to open it, so I don't know if you can see it, I got purple there. Always open it away from your mold so you don't get it into your mold, if you can. Sometimes I forget and I just do it. So here's our watermelon. And I'm going to actually use a different little spoon for the poppin' pink, just so I don't contaminate it. I'm only going to use a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Very little. Just want a little. And that's pretty dark there too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mix that together. And it makes it just a little bit darker, not much. And you can adjust the color as you want. You can add a little bit more, subtract. There's our pink, put it over there, and then here's our purple. Put that off to the side, and we'll start mixing these. Now, even if you did get some speckles in here, let's just say you poured it right in without the alcohol. We're going to be grinding this part up anyway, so it's highly unlikely that it would be very noticeable. So there's our purple. I like that. And here's our pink. I'm going to keep it like that. And so what we're going to do, now if you're running low on alcohol, don't feel you need to squirt this part with alcohol. Again, if bubbles arise, it's okay. It's going to be grinded up anyway, either by you shaving it or putting it through the salad shooter. So I'm not going to waste, I'm running out of alcohol here. And so what I'm going to do is, if bubbles come up, so be it. So we learned our lesson from our last soap that we don't need to do so much. We're just going to let these set, and then we will go ahead and put them through the salad shooter. One thing that I forgot is I forgot to add the fragrance. And I was in such a hurry. So what I did was I just added a cc in here, and a cc here, and a cc, I'm sorry, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So 1.5 dropperfuls of cucumber melon in each of these. Make sure you use the same color sticks there for stirring it in. And again, if you're stirring with the skin on there, not a problem. It's going to be into confetti soon enough. Okay, so now we will wait and we will go on to our next part. Okay, so these are set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut them down just in half. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute it because this gets a little loud. I have the smaller, I can show you. I have the smaller one in. It just kind of goes into here, and then you put this on until it clicks. And then you take this out. I always get this mixed up here. Okay, this way. So we're going to go ahead and put the soap in, and we will have it grinded out. Okay, now this is neat. So I don't know if you can see this, but do you see how it's kind of combined them? That's pretty cool. And we're going to go ahead and just we'll let these kind of sit out. There's some in here still, so what you're going to do is you're going to unplug it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean up this mess, and then we will get ready for our next part. Okay, so I'm not going to put these in my mold yet, which is about 20 ounces. I can't remember now, but I think I did 5 ounces of each color. So I'm going to have about 12, a little over 12 ounces here in just, this is going to be our white. I don't know if you can see it, I have it on the scale right here. So I'm going to go ahead and melt it down. And I don't want these to melt, so I'm going to do this last. I'm going to get this down to a cooler temp, and then we'll go ahead and mix everything together. Okay, so this is melted down. You want to really make sure you don't have any clumps. I thought I felt a clump in here earlier, but I think it's gone. I've been stirring it out. We're at 140. So because I don't want these embeds to melt in here, I know they will a little bit, but I just don't really want them to melt much. I'm going to try and get this down into the lowest 130s I can. So I'm going to go ahead and add our fragrance, and we're going to just put in 2 mLs. That off to the side, and then we will continue to stir. I have a feeling, just looking at this, I may not have enough melt and pour in here again, but at least I'm not really wasting, because I seem to get it right on when I melt a little bit more. That being said, I'm going to be trying to put a top on this, so it may not be as important to do it all the way up, and I'll show you what I mean, and again, we'll hope it works out. So I'm going to squirt this with alcohol right before I put it in, and then we'll kind of mix it up a little bit to make sure the colors pop out. But we are at, it says 133. It feels warmer on the side than 133, but I am getting a little bit of a skin, so maybe it is 133. So I'm just going to kind of judge how high this goes, because I'm going to try and make my top probably about, I don't know, maybe a little less than 1 inch. So it says 136. So as soon as I pour this, this is going to cool down because of this mold. So I'm going to pour it all in. I'm not going to squirt this with alcohol yet, because I'm just going to make more bubbles in a second. But I will squirt these with alcohol. Let's just kind of see where it's at right now that we've poured it out. It says 136. Let's put one in and see if it does anything. Looks like it's okay, and I don't really want a skin in there. I do want it thick. I don't really want a skin in there because I want these to kind of go all over the place. So squirt these generously with alcohol. We're going to start pouring them in. And you guys, look, I'm gonna have so much left over again. Oh well. Okay, so what I am going to do here is I'm just going to melt a little bit of melt and pour because I want to make sure this is a little bit more level than what it looks like right now. We have all this left over. So that's going to be another soap for another day. I'll probably put it into a clear, we'll see, Anyway, let's go ahead and melt a little bit more down so that we can pour it on top of here, and I'll be back. Okay, so I didn't melt all of it. You can see that in there. I'm just going to swirl it, because if I heat it up again, I don't want there to be a distinct layer here. So, and I don't want it to melt these embeds. I know they melted a little bit. If I pour it at 160, it's going to melt a lot, but I still need it to adhere here. So I'm just going to continue to swirl it. Sometimes alcohol will bring it down just a little bit. $143. So what I'll do is I'll let you guys see me pour it when it gets into maybe the mid 130s. Okay, swirling it, and I think we got down into the, okay, that should be good. Let's squirt this with alcohol. It's still pretty fluid. I just want to make sure that these embeds stay. I have a little piece in there that's not completely melted, so try to make sure you don't dump that in there. I just need this to be a little bit more level. I'm not pouring a lot in because I don't want there to be, it's going to honestly be like a little pinkish purple underneath. This is going to be a lot wider, right? Because we're pouring it so cool. Now this is not an even top by any stretch of the imagination. We will pour that into our rectangular mold. But we are going to do a topping on this. So when you have an uneven, when it's this uneven, I know some tops we do want even because it's more decorative, but for this design, I think our piping is going to hide it very nicely. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so here's our next part. I was invited to be a beta tester for Rose of Sharon Soapery for her Buttercream soap frosting. Now, this is hot process soap that she's formulated so that it can be put on anything and wrapped and sold within 24 hours. The recipe is here, and you guys know my eyesight is not so great sometimes, even with my new glasses. So what I did was I took a picture and then I blew it up so that I could read it. So her recipe here says, you know, put 8 ounces into a microwave safe plastic dish, and then you need to heat it up till it gets to 125 or 130. After that, we put fragrance and mica in, or whatever colorant we want in at that time, and then we will get ready to pipe. If it sets up on us too quickly, we can reheat it and re-pipe it. So I do have my hand mixer over here off camera, you can't see it, with the whisk attachment on it. So that's how we're going to do it. Now, just to make sure that it sticks to the top of this soap, I actually put a little bit of clear melt and pour in here, just to make sure it sticks. I haven't had a problem with her melt, whip and pour sticking, but I just want to make sure because this mold is kind of hard to get things out, and I think I don't want to rip the top off doing it. So we're going to go ahead, I put 6 ounces in here, and I probably could have used one of our funnel cups. I just don't know because I am testing the product. So I'm going to go ahead and warm this up, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start whisking it. It took about 40 seconds. So we'll plug it in and we will get going here. Okay, I was going to add glitter to this, but I'm not because I kind of want to see how it really works. My piping skills got a little bit better. It could just be her formula. So it'll be available soon, and I will put the website below if you're interested in it. But for all of you that have been struggling like I have with piping the tops of soaps, and I just really kind of like the look of it, I would definitely go to Sharon. She has not paid me to do this at all. She did select me to do a beta test on it, and I really loved her product so far. So let's go ahead and let this sit. We'll do the cut and we'll see how it works. Okay, so I've gone ahead, I unmolded it off camera basically because I didn't want to ruin this, and it took a little while for me, not much longer, but I just kind of wanted to make sure. So here's the soap. I didn't put any glitter on it, and I think if you can see up here, you can see how it adhered with the clear melt and pour. So I think it's on there pretty good. It's very pretty. I think it's really pretty. I think I might have wanted to use glitter, but I'm not sure. So when we have a top like this, if I cut it straight down like this, what sometimes happens is this part will hit this and smash your topping down. So that is why I will put it on an angle carefully. So I'm not sure yet if I'm supposed to cut this sooner than later because I'm not sure how hard this new recipe is going to get. So I'm just going to probably cut it sooner than later. And it's a little hard sometimes because you have to try to match up the lines when it's not. Oh, that's pretty. It almost looks like flowers flowing down, doesn't it? I'm just being super careful. It does. It looks like flowers flowing. I guess what we'll do is we'll put like this so you can see. Oh, I like that a lot. That really does. That's really cool. Okay, so now I have to remember how I just did this. I did it like this. And again, it's a little harder because you can't just put your guide in. So you kind of have to start at one end and kind of hope you're close. Eyeball it, go very slow. Now she says these will be ready to wrap in 24 hours. So I'm going to come back in 24 hours after this cut and kind of show you how it looks. I have to be just super, super careful here. Oops, we lost some. Oh well. There we go. We'll put this off to the side. And you can tell I have kind of a wave in here. Now, normally that would bother me, but since we have such a cute design in there, it doesn't. It kind of goes with the flow. Do I want to do the next one to kind of show you what happens? I guess I will, because that way we can keep that soap here. So I'm just going to kind of show you what happens if we cut it this way. It's easier to guide for sure, but let's see. I guess it will depend on how high your top is. So that was okay because as you can see here, my fingers are fine. If I went a little bit higher, we would have had an issue. And I think this is the one I'll keep at home because it's kind of cut at a slant because of the way we did it. So this is cut horizontally? No, vertically. And this is cut horizontally. Okay, so this is the one we'll keep at home. Now we need to let these set and see if this just crumbles or if it stays pretty good. So we'll be back in 24 hours. It's actually been 48 hours, a little bit over 48 hours. It was still a little bit soft after 24, and I didn't want to do the video, so it looks like you're gonna have to let it set for 2 days because then it gets super hard. Okay, but it does hold its shape. It still looks so beautiful. I really love this soap. I think it's awesome. But yeah, but it's pretty good. So I think it's a win-win. It's not spongy like the Melt Whip and pipe that she has. So if you want something that's a little bit harder, then this would be the one for you. I actually don't mind the Melt Whip and pipe that she has because it's the same consistency if we took regular Melt and Pour and also blended it, because that's exactly how it's going to dry. It's going to dry where it's a little bit of a marshmallow consistency. This is a lot harder than that, so it's a totally different consistency. It stays on very well. Nothing's fallen off. Like you see, I can hit it pretty well and it's just not doing anything, which is great. So packaging will be a snap with this. It's definitely one of my favorite soaps. It smells wonderful. So she will be releasing her, I think it's buttercream frosting, sometime soon. I'll leave the link to her website below. And I want to thank you, Sharon, for sharing this product with me, and I absolutely love it and will be using it on my future soaps. Okay guys, have a good week.